Helen Zille is a leader in the DA party in South Africa, and she had exposed a lot of things that go on in South Africa, the poverty rate, the load shedding, so many things. On a podcast, she was invited to speak on who is truly ruling South Africa, and then they mentioned a very prominent family that owns almost all the investment in South Africa. Then they asked her if they were ruling, like if they were in charge, could they just go to the president and say, we need this? If not, we'll close down all our businesses in South Africa. And she said, no, they can't do that. But of course, they could have an influence over the president. And then they asked her who were their own sponsors. She said she can't say it publicly there, but she definitely can let them know where to search it out. And then they asked her if that those sponsors of our party can influence what goes on when they become the major leaders, not just opposition. She said no, they can't do that, and they make them understand point of from the get-go that we are looking for support, and whatever you are supporting democracy. They don't say support us so that we can give you contract or support us so that we can do anything. So she talked about it, and then she mentioned the level of poverty in South Africa, and I was really surprised because I didn't really believe that South Africa will suffer one day. Like I don't believe they suffer. And now this brings me to say that we as Africans, let's say for those of us who are Pan Africans, all we are looking for is good leadership. I can't say for my own country that my president is doing all that, like my president is perfect. I can't say that because I know fully well that our president can do better, and we have all the natural resources and what it takes for us to weather the storm and become tops as Africans. I know that. So whenever I see South Africans coming on comment sections to insult Nigerians, dragging Nigeria, calling out people in Nigeria, especially the one that is paining them so much that it's so painful to their heart, is Chidema's success. Most of them who throw her for no reason are they have not finished, and they've not healed from the Chidinma thing. So now somebody comes out, the South African YouTuber says, oh, the reason why South Africans are upset with Nigerians or foreigners is because of the apartheid regime, what they went through and all. I'm like, okay, if they went through apartheid and these African countries are the ones that helped them to fight apartheid, why now fight the African countries? Does it even make sense? Why now fight them who were even your support system at the time you needed help? Fighting them makes no sense. I pointed out that, and I've always said it, that you cannot be fighting a people who wants to help you. So the last time Julius Malema had their convention, he mentioned also about the poverty rate, about the um, education. He talked about medicine, the medical sector. He talked about load shedding, and these are things that happen in most African countries because of failure from the government. And it's not something that you will shame the people in the country for, because, like I always say, Nigeria is blessed. Nigeria is a good country. Nigeria is full of, creative minds. But when those creative minds do not find an enabling environment to foster their dream or to help and encourage their dream, they would not be able to go through that route. So, in all that I'm saying here is, South Africans, you have a lot of things plaguing you. And I've seen on my comment section where some South Africans said, oh yes, Nigerians, we have our problems. Let the Nigerians in our place go so that we can sort our problems. The question now is, are you saying that the Nigerians in your community are the reason you can't fix your problem? And I saw a video that trended where the Operation Dulala, or is it Operation Dululu, or whatever they call them, went as far as, asking foreigners to come down from a van for South Africans to enter the van. I'm like, aren't they taking this thing too serious? Because whether you like it or not, your countrymen are also in other places of the world. Imagine if they are being treated like that. And this is why I so thank this South African ladies who came to Nigeria for the holiday, and they had something to say. They talked about how xenophobic South Africa is towards Nigerians, and the fact that whenever they hear the word "I am Nigerian," they begin to segregate, they begin to disrespect. That she noticed that not all South Africans are xenophobic, that she's not xenophobic, but she knows a large number of South Africans are xenophobic. The moment you mention you're Nigerian, they begin to judge you. Now, a lot of Nigerians who live in South Africa will have to not even discuss their being Nigerian to them, having seen the way they treat other Nigerians who come to their country. Just like you have places like the Joburg where have beautiful edifices, beautiful places. That's the same way we in Nigeria also have places that extra and super beautiful. So there's no country that has it all. Yes, especially when they have consistently had government officials representing them and not doing the right things. Like, normally in democracy, you are supposed to be a servant to the people that voted you into power. But when you go there to amass wealth for yourself, it shows that you are not voting, you are not doing the right things you're supposed to do. So, as a Pan Africanist, I stand strongly to say that in Africa, we need leaders who have foresight. We need leaders who will push our country, our continent, and put it in the global stage. We need leaders who will not be greedy. We need leaders that will not sell us out to the European people. We need leaders that can stand and say, no, we are Africans. We need our people to become better. So any leader who comes into power and has the people's intention at heart, such leadership goes far. Any leader that has the conscience, the thought, the goodness of any community, like anybody they are leading. Because a leader means I show you the way. A leader means I take responsibility. A leader means the buck stops on my table. A leader means I lead by example. A leader means whatever it is, I don't shove it on people. I deliberate and we come to a conclusion, or we come to a consensus to do a thing. We don't just carry out things and say we must do it, this must work, this, that. No, no, no. That's not leadership. Leadership goes farther than that. Leadership goes further than that. So I really, really think that with all this fighting and bickering on social media about against ourselves, it only makes the white to look at us as though we don't know what we are doing. But when we sit down and form an alliance, we will hold our leaders accountable. Africa must arise to hold their leaders accountable, because there's just very few in the over 50 something countries in this continent. Only maybe, let's say, 3 or 4 countries are really enjoying governance. Yes, where their government will come and say no. And I think three out of the 4 are all military, governed countries. And recently they left ECOWAS, because I'm beginning to feel that even the people who tell truth to ECOWAS are being manhandled. So it's high time we looked inwards to say, no, we cannot take this from a leader. We cannot take this. Just look at Cameroon. Yes, it's Cameroon now. Their president stayed in power for 40 something years. That is, he was in power before we were born. And we grew up to being adults, and he was still in power until death came calling, and the man was already old. And from what I'm hearing, that his son is taking over. I don't even know. I've not followed up on their news to know how far. If you have done that, please let me know on the comment section. So it's high time we looked inward, and as Africans to say, no, we can't allow this happen in Africa. Africa is too blessed to be going through this route. But do we know? We don't do that. All we do is we fight ourselves. We okay, Nigeria is better than South Africa. South Africa is better than Nigeria. The back and forth. And South Africans, I need you to purge your hearts from bitterness. It's not a good thing. And don't visit your anger on people who did not wound you. It's not nice.